My name is Philip Nicolosi. I grew up in the Boston area. I moved to New Hope in 1972. I left in 1981 to open my own restaurant in Florida. I came back in 1988 to work at the Raven. When I was 19 years old, my friend Jimmy Ski and I had fake IDs, and we decided we were going to go to Provincetown for the summer. And while we were there, he met somebody from this area. And I would come to visit. And of course, that was 1970, 71. This was a very different area. It wasn't very built up. It was a lot smaller. There weren't as many restaurants on the north side of Main Street. It was just houses.
Hi, I'm Eric Lee. I'm a resident of New Hope since 1984 with my partner Edward Kimball. I'm originally from upstate New York, a town called Johnson City. I am a ordained minister under the Unitarian Church. I also teach Wiccan studies in various aspects of occult science or occult practice, astrology, tarot, so on and so forth. We were living in New Jersey. I had been coming here since, I was 16 years old from Pennington Prep, so I've known New Hope since that, time frame, and always had come here, always came to this particular store under the other owner, and fell in love with New Hope.
I'm Reverend Edward Kimball. I'm Wiccan. I'm gay. I own a store with Eric Lee in Mystical Times in New Hope, Pennsylvania since 1994. I worked for the store for 10 years prior, and I had met Eric years ago. We just celebrated our 34th anniversary together on February 3rd. It was Eric's dream when he was a kid to one day own this shop, which became a reality. I couldn't believe the diversity. There were a lot of artists in town. There were a lot of studios and galleries, a lot of money. I was a budgeting college kid, but somehow we always had time to sneak to New Hope or get out of the Dodge, so to speak, and come over to where we felt free. We saw all walks of lives that are in town, and it is a diversified town. It still is. It hasn't changed that way.
Back then, it was crazy. There were madrigal parades, there was so many people, still the same issue with parking, but there were so many people on the street, and we just basically fell in love with the town for its energy. Diversity in people, there's millionaires, there's paupers, there's every shade of the rainbow of people that are here, there's every faith of religion that is here. It's an amazing microcosm of what the United States could be as far as diversity, acceptance, art, music, all of that.
I think that even though mainstream people that, I don't want to say it the wrong way, I would say that they have not had a lot of experience with diversification, that somehow even though some of them may be offended by it, they're also attracted to it. It gives them a little freedom in seeing the other part of the world, which is part of the world, where in their everyday life, maybe they're from like, a Midwestern town or something like that, they get to experience people. And sometimes they're even shocked that, oh my God, the guy next to me is gay, but he's really funny and I kind of like his personality. It's kind of like a little bit of a culture shock for people. I am not saying the country is backward like it used to be. I mean, there's been advancement, especially with gay rights, but we still have work to do. There's many, many states that still discriminate.
My name is Chris. I'm retired right now. I'm just loving life, and life is the best it's ever been for me. I was approximately 7 years old when I realized that I knew there was something very different about me, and I was attracted to women. But I also didn't live in the United States. And when we came stateside, I had never heard the word homosexual before. So I asked my mother what it was. And she said, Christina, there are people who are very sick. So consequently, I knew that I couldn't have that type of discussion with her. On through junior high school and high school, I was always attracted to women. I never really did anything about it because I didn't have any mentors. But I also, because of my family upbringing, never felt pressured to go with the crowd, to date guys.
My name is Kathleen Kirby. I am 65 years old. I am retired. I grew up in a neighborhood with all boys. There were 12 boys and one girl, and it was me. We were all like roughly the same age, so we all played baseball, basketball, whatever together. So I would say 10 to 12, I started thinking, I could never imagine being with one of these guys.
My name is Martin Salander. I work at the Raven in New Hope. Been there for about 8 years. I am a bartender and the house drag queen Martini Madness. Drag queens are men who dress as females and perform and entertain on a stage for the entertainment purposes. Transgender is identity and is somebody who was born a male and feels that they are really a woman, or a woman who really feels that they're a man. Then cross-dresser, they just want to dress in pretty women's clothes and go out. They want to feel pretty. Like 80% or better of your cross-dressers are heterosexual men. I don't know when I realized I was gay or how old I was. I don't remember all of that, but I know didn't come out until I was 26.
After high school, I got a scholarship to an all-women's college. And I started, of course, dating women. And we had parietals, so men weren't allowed in our dorms. So about maybe 2 years, and I brought a couple of my friends home. I really was never asked any questions. When I was 22, and I moved back home, and I told my mother that I was a lesbian, and she said, well, your father and I have already discussed this, so it was like a non-issue, but it was very emotional. So although they were accepting, it was never really spoken about, because I grew up in a very conservative household. You didn't talk about things like sex. But the reaction actually was, my dad was very open, and my mother was very, very reserved. And I think on some level she hoped that maybe one day, you know, it was just a phase that I was going through. I have an older brother. He doesn't agree with my lifestyle at all. We don't have any kind of relationship. And his wife is extremely religious, so apparently I'm the devil or whatever. I'm not allowed to be near their children, which is heartbreaking, actually. My sister is younger than I am, and she actually ended up going to the same college that I did. And because I was out in college, I felt I needed to tell her, which is the funny story. I was having a party in my room, and I needed to tell her that I was gay, because at that point in time there wasn't all these subculture definitions, you know, some gay women want to be called lesbians. I'm just a gay woman. And so I said, Tina, I just need to tell you something. And I was the one, I said, I'm gay. And she goes, oh, I'm happy too. She thought it meant happy. She didn't know what it meant. I'm still in touch with her, and she knows it's just life. I'm her sister.
I played for a softball team when I was 20, 21. I still lived at home. My parents, they always stayed up late. I went in the house and they were sitting there. My father was reading the newspaper. My mother was watching TV. And I sat down on the floor and I started to cry. My father and my mother said, are you all right? What's the matter? I said, I have to talk to you. And they said, what? And I said, Mommy and Daddy, I'm gay. When I told them that, I just sort of sat there. And they both started laughing hysterically. And all they said was, Kath, we've known this for years. Honey, it's okay. We love you. It makes no difference. So that's how I told my parents. I have one brother, Joey. He's 3 years older. And my dad said, Joey, come here a minute. Your sister has to tell you something. So he walks back and he said, what? And I said, Joey, I'm gay. And he was like, oh my God, can I just please go to bed? Like, hello? I was so afraid of what people, and I should have known better, because that's how I was raised. You accept everybody.
My family was fine with it. They were like, duh, obviously it's time. I'm blessed, and I come from a very supportive family. We might not all deal with each other, but they're very supportive of each other.
Way back when, in the late 70s, early 80s, really more segregated at that time. It was pretty much like the gay women didn't want to be with the gay guys, and the gay guys didn't want to be associated with the gay women, which was sad, actually. What happened, in my experience with the LGBT world, as they call it now, is that there was just more acceptance of just, you're a person. Like, I was never really out to people. Unless I know you, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a lesbian. But what I've found after the AIDS virus, my partner who passed away, she did a lot of pro bono work for the guys who were dying from AIDS. She had a group of gay male friends, and it just became more of a friendship melding thing. It's a wonderful experience to see the gay men and gay women just become friends and be more of a community. To me, I think that's actually the most important thing, and humanity is diversity. What I've seen in New Hope in the past, I'd say 10, 15 years, is you just see a more loving and inclusive environment amongst just people in general. And that's, I think, what diversity is, and I think that's what every community needs, and what the U.S. needs now even more so.
Diversity, to me growing up, I was taught by everyone in my home, and also I was educated by Franciscans my entire life, and we were always taught that God created everyone equal. Your color, your religion, your whatever, you're all equal, and I love you all, and that's how I was raised. That's what diversity is to me. It doesn't necessarily mean gay or straight. That is part of it, but there's also so many other types of diversity. Oh, I think New Hope has always been very inclusive. I have never had a problem. Anyone that I've been with has never had a problem with anyone. So yes, I think it's a very welcoming town. Inclusion to me is just, it's normal. I don't know any different.
Diversity is just differences. You can walk through New Hope and it's just that. You can see from the shops to the bars and like our local hangouts. You'll see a ton of different people, whether they're gay, they're straight, black, or Mexican, or they're tourists from wherever else. Everything. You see drag queens, transgender. It's, in the words of the late, great Whitney Houston, I believe the children are the future. Teach them well. But for real, honestly, that's it. For myself and those younger, we had a fight with our sexuality. Are you gay? Are you straight? And then the whole coming out of it and everything else. And then myself as a young man, trying to understand and accept that and feel where I fit in and make sure that I wasn't so different. Acceptance of diversity is important to me because it's about accepting me and who I am, and that's okay. But it's about teaching our kids that it's okay to be themselves, that it's okay to be who you are. It's okay not to know who you are. It's okay to take your time and figure that out. It's okay to like the color green. It's okay to like applesauce. It's okay, as long as you are you and you like you. It's gonna be all right. It doesn't matter if Melissa really likes Marty or not, and Marty's okay with himself. It's okay that he's gay. It's okay that he does drag, and if he wanted to be a boy, he could be a boy. It's all right. But it's about teaching our kids that it's okay, and it's okay that somebody else is different.
I know that Mother Cavalucci arrived here in 1955 and said there was no problem back then. I mean, it was always a place that attracted a lot of artists and theater people. So those kinds of places are always very accepting because there's lots of diversity in the people who were involved in those professions. One time we were having a 4th of July party, probably around 1976 or so. There were a bunch of us, after partying a little for most of the afternoon, decided we were going to hold up the New Hope Ivyland train, which we did in the woods with a bunch of balloons and paper plates, and with freedom for everybody, independence for all. We were like, I guess we were one of the first gay rights movement. And we stopped the train. Everybody was horrified. So we were getting on the train, and the conductor was like, and I said, don't worry, everybody's harmless. We're just going to walk through. And we did. We walked through. Everybody was handing out balloons and, paper plates, and the mothers were holding their kids' faces. And so that's the only thing I've been political about in New Hope that one time.
As far as a grand scheme of the term arts, you have diversity within that. I mean, there's majority of artists of that time were the outskirts of that, very anal retentive and very structured, and Republicans and Democrats and that kind of thing. Well, this was the melting pot of the people that didn't fit in that puzzle. So you had your gay people, you had your straight people, you had your hippies, and all of them got along. And that was the basic insurgence of energy that created New Hope in the 70s and 80s and early 90s and allowed it to flourish as that melting pot of people. But the first gay bar, I think, was back in the 60s or early 70s, and the gay bars weren't allowed in town. There was an ordinance that they couldn't be in town. Years ago, there was a bar called the Cartwheel. It has since burned down. There was another one called the Prelude, and it's now a bank. And then the Raven was there as a gay establishment since the early 70s. And then there was Zadar's, which was the mixed bar. It was like for the bi-questioning people, or the people on the down low, as it were. It's always been open, but now it's more accepting in every restaurant. What restaurant doesn't have a gay employee? Or several? What restaurant, in this town anyway, doesn't have diversity of staff, a diversity of customer in today's world? It's just the momentum of it. I mean, there used to be drag queens walking the streets in madrigal outfits from the time of Arthur, and the horse and buggies and the queen of the day and all that stuff. That was going on back in the 70s. Way before Stonewall, they were doing things like that in New Hope. So, like I said, it's an artist community. Yeah, every artist must express themselves. New Hope's always been doing that, whether it be political, whether it be gender orientation, whether it be gay, straight, and different. It doesn't matter,
The fact that it was so beautiful and so country and so unbuilt up, and downtown was really a lot more quaint. Riding up the River Road is beautiful, the tubing and all that. I think that really attracted people. I mean, back then you had Odette, and the Bucks County Playhouse was in full swing, so that brought a lot of people in, as it does again. I think the shops and the nightlife bring people here now rather than a lot of nature. I think it's just switched a little bit.
The vibe of the town has a lot to do with it. I think it's the diversity and creative environment of New Hope with the music and great food all over town. I think that's what the tourists draw. I don't think it's much of the historical aspect of New Hope. Everybody gets along, everybody's happy here, so I think that's what basically is the draw for New Hope.
When I met Eric, it was 1983. It was such a popular town for a getaway. We had a lot of New Yorkers at the time would come in. They would have weekend houses that they had here or summer places. The town was really, really busy, more so, I think, in the 80s and early 90s than present day, but we're going through a lot of change and a lot of people are in a mode of protection, so they have to keep what they have and not be frivolous. And I would say back in the early 80s, there was a lot of money and people didn't care how they spend it. Now we have to be careful.
My name is Andy Rios. I'm a retired firefighter from the city of Elizabeth in New Jersey. Spent 7 years in the military. In the words of my dearest of friends, Martini, I'm a breeder. So yeah, I'm straight. Came to New Hope about 30 years ago on a visit. I liked the place and I always wanted to come back, but didn't really have anyone who would take the ride down here with me. Then one day I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go. Made the mistake of coming on a Saturday and the place was just wall-to-wall people. I started coming on weekdays instead, which is more when the locals are out and about. I got to know them that way.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I am 48 years old. I come from a town called South Plainfield, New Jersey. I originally came to New Hope back in 1999. First time I was there, I loved it. I've been coming to New Hope for the past 6 years. Throughout the years, we got to know people. I actually even work in New Hope. I had worked at the Starbucks, but I decided to transfer. But I also work in a little bar called the Cub Room.
There was so many different types of people and places and things and just activities. My favorite being sitting somewhere and just watching the diversity of all the different people and all different walks of life and beliefs and everything else, just walking around, being polite to one another. Sidewalks were crowded, people would walk by, excuse me please. That was very cool. It's the most non-judgmental place I've ever been. One of my favorite times is when New Hope celebrates. They celebrate Gay Pride. And my sons and I have, for the past 3 years, done security. Not that you need security. Maybe you'll get someone who has a little bit too much to drink and wants to get up on the stage. Well, no, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. Oh, okay, all right, have a great day. And it ends right there.
What I like about New Hope is everything. Shops are great. There are a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars. It's got a lot of great diverse stores. There's different types of food businesses, a mixture of people.
I understand their struggle for equality and recognition because I also happen to be Hispanic and I've been on the receiving end of prejudice and discrimination and occasionally hate simply because I was born in a Spanish-speaking country. All of the LGBTQ community that I know in New Hope, they're wonderful people. They're just loving, giving, considerate people. None of them care that I was born in a foreign country and raised here in the United States. I've never heard a single one of them say a derogatory word about the Hispanic community. So am I going to stand up for them? No, actually, I'm going to stand with them because they have to deal with the discrimination, not having the same rights as straight people, whatever that means, whatever straight means. Why can't they get married? Why can't they adopt babies? One of my favorite movies is the Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, where he had a child with a woman. Kid grew up to be a straight kid, heterosexual, even though he was being raised by two gay parents. So it's not like they carry this gay disease or anything. They're as dear to me as my brothers from the military or the fire service. And that's the same way I would have defended them and did defend them, I will defend the LGBTQ community.
I have met so many great people, and I actually consider a lot of the LGBT community family. They're not my friends. They are my family. Family does not have to be blood. You got somebody that'll watch your back, you watch their back. What diversity means to me is understanding and accepting of everyone's belief. There's a saying that I have. We are all one on this planet. What we do to others, we do to ourselves. And it's true. We are also all different and have different views and opinions. So we as humans, we feel emotions. We feel love. We feel hate. We feel sorrow. We feel grief. No one is excluded from those feelings. So why should people be excluded from having the right to marry and having the right to adopt children? I am a straight woman, but as a straight woman, I feel that there is no straight. There is no bi, there's no lesbian, there's no gay. We are just humans. We love who we love. Why should that be such a big deal? Why can't we just let people love who they love? That's what diversity is to me. That's why I'm making this film. Thank you.
AIDS became a factor. People started to organize because there was no help from anything else or anyone else. There was no, the government was saying it didn't exist. The doctors didn't know what to do. People were getting sick and needed money, and so like all those organizations started coming together. I think that's when the community really started to organize, and then that prompted events that grew into things like Gay Pride and the parade and Vax Bingo and all of that. So I think that started people organizing.
My name is Jennifer Wohl. I am the president of New Hope Celebrates, which does the Pride celebrations here in New Hope, along with many other things and events throughout the year. I've lived in New Hope for 25 years. New Hope Celebrates was founded by Dan Brooks. It was very small, and a lot of people didn't even know what was going on. We didn't have a parade then. A bunch of people who knew that it was important for this community to show our pride in our community. And not even just the gay community, but in the whole community. And then it grew and grew and grew and went from this little thing that actually took place in the fall to now we're every May. Now there's a parade, and now we are the only pride anywhere that actually spans 2 states with our parade. And we start in Lambertville, New Jersey, and it comes over the bridge and goes down South Main. Marriage equality passed in Jersey but was not passed in Pennsylvania. And we started the parade in Jersey, and we did a marriage of 2 guys who were together for about 30 years in Pennsylvania and still couldn't get married legally there. So on their float at the beginning of the parade, they got married by the mayor of Lambertville, and then symbolically brought marriage equality into Pennsylvania. That was Saturday. Tuesday it passed in Pennsylvania. So it's a pretty big thing. I was involved with New Hope Celebrates since the 2nd year, just because it seemed like a good thing for the town, and New Hope Celebrates is all about tourism. Obviously it's about gay rights and all that, but basically it was formed to bring more tourism to town, and I was all about that. I was working on Main Street at John and Peters. Then I left John and Peters and came and was the GM at the Raven. So I was that one that said, hey, you know what? Maybe we should have a parade. I wasn't allowed to run it then. But the next year and subsequent years and all of them since, I did. It started out as this little thing that started at the high school, turned on to Main Street, and stopped literally right in front of Logan at Ferry Street, because that's all we could get approval for. Now, and I wasn't on the board. Then we got really big, and we are a 501c3, so we had to really do stuff. And they're like, okay, I'll be on the board. And then I was VP, and now I'm president. Which is fine, it's great, because I don't know how not to do this.
My name is Chrissy Mertz. I have lived in New Hope for 12 years. I'm the general manager of Martine's River House, which is a restaurant here. So about 3 years ago, I was approached to become a board member on New Hope Celebrates. I had previously been on Chamber of Commerce and worked with some other local charities. So I was approached by our then president, Sharon Fraunenberger, to join the board, which was probably one of the most amazing and flattering compliments anyone could have ever given me, to be part of such a wonderful organization. New Hope Celebrates is our local chapter of not only just putting on our Pride events every year, but helping our LGBT community stay strong. We raise money for local charities, especially with the LGBT youth. Pretty much just being here for anyone who needs it. Unfortunately, I did have to resign my position right before the holidays due to moving to Washington, D.C. But I am still involved, and I did tell them that I will help as much as I can with 2017 Pride, because it does have a special place in my heart.
New Hope Celebrates does a week-long thing for Pride. We have flag drop at Starbucks to kick off Pride Week, and this year it's going to be the 14th of May. And then we've incorporated Lambertville in too, and we do a pig roast at the Lambertville House, and then there's something basically every night. Well, the biggest part is the Saturday, which is when the parade and the festival and all this stuff is. And they estimated last year we brought about 15,000 people to town, which is pretty huge. But we do also partner and sponsor different events throughout the year. We do the high heel drag race by Halloween, which is like the kickoff of Halloween week, and we're really happy to be involved with that because it's been going on for a while, but we took it over a couple of years ago. And that's like 700 people on Mechanic Street, which is a tiny little spot, and yet we cram them in there. And then we partner with FACTS and, you know, basically anything that we can do to continue to help our community all through the year and not just that one big tiring week.
For me, growing up, I was very lucky that I had a really open family, even though I am a straight woman. They were very accepting of all of my friends and lifestyle choices that they made. Unfortunately, though, being a Republican, not everybody agrees with those views in some of places in my life. So I think it was really important for me to get involved and show people that this kind of work can go beyond all boundaries. And just because you can be a little conservative doesn't mean that you don't love and want to help. So for me personally, I think it was just showing people that being conservative Republican wasn't who I was, and that I do love everybody and everyone is important and we all deserve the same thing. So me fighting for that right for my community in all aspects is kind of why it's important to me.
The reason this is so important and what makes New Hope Celebrates and New Hope so special is that you have this huge diverse group of people, but when you get involved with our Pride Parade and the festival, but especially the parade, you see everyone represented. Everyone jumps out of their seats, gay bars, the straight bars, families, kids, everyone, to get up at an ungodly time in the morning and hold us all together and have all these people be like, yeah, the energy, something you can explain until you feel it. And I remember it the first time we had the first parade and we were just coming over the railroad tracks and we're like, nobody's gonna be here. And that short little parade, and there was like 1,000 people there, and it was just this rush. When we have everything set up, before even the people and the floats and everything see anything, and I see the sea of thousands of people and kids, it's an energy level like you have no idea, but it's the energy that is New Hope, and that's why we're so aptly named.